Oscar Piastri just went through what might be the toughest weekend of his Formula One career. Yes, he's had slower weekends in the past where Lando was clearly ahead, and even times when he failed to put a race together, which you could excuse when he was a rookie or still learning as a second-year driver. But this time is different. He's now an established title contender, and weekends like Baku simply can't happen. From the very start, it felt messy. There wasn't a single barrier in Baku he didn't brush or clip, and it all came together in one of the worst opening laps you could imagine. After some scrapes in practice, he crashed in Q3 qualifying, leaving him 9th on the grid. Then, in the race, he jumped the lights, panicked, and ended up triggering anti-stall, dropping him almost to the back. He recovered a few spots in the opening corners, but by turn 5 he braked too late, locked up, and slammed into the wall. Just like that. Race over before lap 1 was even done. What makes this so bizarre is how uncharacteristic it was. The last time he made a big driving error was all the way back in Australia under wet conditions, and since then he's been one of the most consistent drivers in the sport. To put it in perspective, before Baku he had finished 44 races in a row, the second longest streak in F1 history, only behind Lewis Hamilton, and he had also scored points in 34 consecutive races. Those kinds of numbers don't come by chance. They come from composure, avoiding mistakes and staying sharp under pressure, all of which have defined Piastri's rise. That's why this weekend felt so shocking, and why it hints that maybe, just maybe, the pressure is finally starting to weigh on him. The question is, was this just a freak weekend that he'll bounce back from, or the start of a bigger trend? Strangely enough, despite everything, Piastri didn't actually suffer much damage in the bigger picture. Yes, he jumped the start, which would have normally meant a 5-second penalty, the same one Fernando Alonso got. But because he retired, the rules introduced this year mean it won't carry over to Singapore. The FIA now has a rule where if a driver can't serve a minor penalty before retiring, it won't turn into a grid drop for the next race. So he walks away with no lasting punishment. Meanwhile, let's talk about Lando Norris. To be fair, Lando got unlucky again with another slow pit stop, which probably cost him track position against Lawson and Tsunoda. Whether he would have then caught and passed Antonelli is up for debate, but those lost places still cost him 4 valuable points. The frustrating part is that this was Lando's big chance to punish Oscar in the standings. With Piastri crashing and starting 9th, Lando only managed P7 in qualifying, 2 places ahead, and couldn't convert it. Stuck behind slower cars, he never got the breakthrough he needed. In the end, Oscar left Baku with a disastrous weekend, but only lost 6 points in the title race. In fact, the math is surprising. Piastri retiring and Lando finishing 7th is actually a smaller point swing than if Lando had won and Oscar had finished 2nd. And once again, we have to mention that slow pit stop. For the second race in a row, it cost Norris when he needed it most. To me, this is starting to feel like a very concerning pattern. McLaren over the past 3 seasons have swung back and forth with Red Bull as the benchmark when it comes to operations. Back in 2023, they even set a new pit stop world record. But now the repeated errors and sluggish stops are beginning to have massive consequences, not just for races, but for the entire championship fight. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the team's slip-ups and Oscar's own mistakes are happening at the same time. The deeper we go into the season, the higher the pressure and the closer the spotlight gets. And that's exactly what we're watching unfold. Even though McLaren secured the Constructors' Championship last year, the expectations this season have been completely different. They're not just expected to win, they're expected to dominate both titles. That's the kind of mental strain their drivers aren't used to. In Baku, everyone assumed they would lock down the Constructors' crown, but the pressure on the team to give both drivers equal footing seems to be weighing on them, even in a race where only one car was in play. Andrea Stella will need to get a grip on this quickly, because if the errors continue, it could not only derail their title hopes, but also sow paranoia within the team, the drivers, and even the fan base. And when it comes to Oscar, this weekend stands out in a painful way. Remember, he won here last year. Now, the only real difference is that he's closer than ever to becoming world champion, and that weight is finally starting to show. Drivers gunning for their first title often crack under that pressure. Just look back to Max Verstappen in late 2021. As Lewis Hamilton kept reeling him in with win after win, Max, who had never closed out a title fight before, began showing signs of strain. He crashed in Saudi qualifying, and his racecraft became reckless in moments, reflecting the stress of trying to hang on. Fast forward to today, and Max is now the seasoned, battle-hardened champion, applying that same kind of heat to the McLaren pair. Whoever emerges on top between Oscar and Lando will be stronger for it, because the confidence and belief that comes from winning a championship is unlike anything else. But for now, the fight is still wide open. Oscar's dip in Monza and his collapse in Baku raise the big question. Is this just a small slump, or the early signs that the pressure of sealing a first title might be too much too soon? Because here's the truth, anyone can look unbeatable when things are going smoothly. What defines a true champion is how you respond when the odds turn against you. If Oscar really wants to earn that crown, he has to prove he can recover from weekends like this. He has to show that failure doesn't become a habit and that he can push through adversity even when it's his own doing. And that wraps it up. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to support the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. It really helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.